When you think about Japan's role on the world stage, you probably think of reconstruction, right? The country that comes in after conflict is over to help put things back together. Well, that's all starting to change. Japan is making a really interesting pivot, moving from the construction site right to the negotiation table. They've launched a brand new private sector center designed to mediate conflicts while they're still happening.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. We'll start with this big new move. Then we'll take a peek inside the mediation center itself. After that, we'll look at how Japan went from being a rebuilder to a peacemaker. We'll also dive into this fascinating idea they have for an Asian approach. And finally, we'll get real about the challenges that are waiting for them down the road.
Okay, let's dive right in. So what exactly happened here? Well, on April 1st, 2026, a major player called the Sasakawa Peace Foundation officially launched its Center for Mediation Support. Let's just call it the CMS. And, that date, April 1st, that's not just a random day. It's the beginning of Japan's fiscal year, which is a pretty clear sign that they're serious about this and in it for the long haul. And this right here, this really gets to the core of it. It's a fundamental change in thinking. In the past, it was all about post-conflict reconstruction, coming in after the fighting stops. But the future, what they're doing now, is about active peacemaking, trying to craft settlements while the conflict is still going on. I mean, that is a massive leap, right? From rebuilding things to navigating the messy, high-stakes world of active diplomacy. So how can a private group even do this? Well, it all comes down to something called Track 1.5 and Track 2 diplomacy. Think of it like this. Official government-to-government talks are Track 1. This is everything else. It's the unofficial stuff, the back channels. Because the CMS isn't part of the government, it has this incredible flexibility. It can talk to everyone, government ministers one day, armed groups the next, without all the formal red tape. It's all about creating a space for conversations that just couldn't happen otherwise.
Okay, so we know what it is, but how is it actually going to work? Let's go inside and look at the mission, the people, and the game plan.
The whole strategy really rests on three main pillars. First up is knowledge. This is about bringing in the experts, the academics, to really analyze and understand the roots of a conflict. Then there's the network pillar. They're not trying to do this alone. They're building partnerships with peace organizations all over the globe. And finally, the third pillar, practice. This is where the rubber meets the road, providing direct on-the-ground support for dialogue and mediation. It's a pretty smart combination of thinking, connecting, and doing. And leading this whole effort is Director Horiba Akiko. Now, her appointment is a really big deal, and it says a lot. She's not some career diplomat who's never left Tokyo. No, she's a veteran peacemaker. She has spent more than 10 years boots on the ground mediating the incredibly complex conflict in southern Thailand. This is someone who knows what she's doing.
And this quote from her really nails it. She says, "One advantage Japan enjoys in this realm is its neutral position." And that's the key, right? She's arguing that Japan's biggest strength here is that it doesn't have the same historical baggage as, say, a former colonial power or a global superpower. The hope is that both sides in a conflict will see Japan as a truly neutral, honest broker.
Now, to really get why this new center is such a big deal, we got to take a quick step back and look at Japan's history. For decades, Japan's whole approach to the world was built on economic power and aid, not getting its hands dirty in political disputes.
It all goes back to after World War II, right? Japan's new constitution put serious limits on its military. So what did it do? It pivoted to economic strength, becoming a massive donor of development aid. You can see the progression here. By 2010, the Sasakawa Foundation starts dipping its toes in the water with its work in Thailand. But the launch of the CMS in 2026, that's the moment this all becomes official. It's a huge step.
And just to put it in perspective, think about this. Back in 1989, Japan became the #1 nation in the world for official development assistance. That cemented its role as a global rebuilder, which is great, but it also created a kind of blind spot. It meant Japan was a powerhouse after the conflict, but was largely on the sidelines during it. The CMS is designed to fill that exact gap.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. They're not just trying to do what everyone else does. They're aiming to create a whole new playbook. This might be the most ambitious part of the whole thing. The CMS isn't just about mediating. It's about pioneering a completely new style of mediation. They're calling it a quintessentially Asian approach. And you can see the contrast right here. The established Western models, they tend to be very legalistic. focused on power-sharing agreements, strict deadlines, and processes often driven by outside forces. This proposed Asian approach is different. It's about patience. It emphasizes sticking around for the long haul, building trust, deeply understanding the local context, and most importantly, making sure the local parties actually own the peace process.
So when you break it down, these are the core principles. It's about long-term commitment, not just flying in and flying out. It's about a deep respect for local history, culture, religion. And it's all built on a foundation of trust. The idea is to support a solution that grows from the inside out, not one that's imposed from the outside in.
Now, this all sounds great, but let's be realistic. This is an incredibly ambitious plan, and it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park. So for our final section, let's look at the hurdles, the advantages, and what you should really keep an eye on. And get this, just as the CMS was about to launch, something else happened. Japan's own government, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, set up its own mediation unit. And the key detail? It seems like there was zero coordination between them. So suddenly you've got two horses in the race, the flexible, private CMS and the official, powerful government unit. The huge question is, are they going to work together or are they going to trip over each other? How they navigate this could be the difference between success and failure. So let's break down the pros and cons. On the plus side, the CMS has a lot going for it. We're talking 16 years of hands-on experience from their work in Thailand. They've got the flexibility that comes with being a private group, and they're backed by the massive Nippon Foundation network. Plus, Japan just has this trust surplus in the region. But there are some big risks. Can Japan always be seen as neutral? Their team is pretty small, only about 10 specialists. And of course, there's that potential for a major disconnect with the government's own efforts. So if you're following this story, here's what you need to watch. First, where will they operate? Will they stick to Southeast Asia or go global? Second, that coordination piece. Are the private and public tracks going to sync up? Third, can they scale up their network of experts? And finally, will they actually publish and define this Asian approach for the rest of us to see? These are the real benchmarks of success. At the end of the day, that's what this all is, a bold strategic bet. Japan is putting its chips on its unique history and its reputation for soft power, hoping to carve out a new role for itself on the world stage. And it leaves us all with a pretty fascinating question to ponder. Can one foundation, no matter how well-funded or well-intentioned, truly change how an entire nation builds peace?